People really just want to eat their stolen cookies in private, and be told that it was given to them. You know, it's really what it is. Subconsciously, people know that there was a lot of hinky shit, and hinky shit's been going on for a long time. But as long as it's on their side, and as long as people are telling them that it's good and it's their side, and if more people are telling them that, then it's all good, because then they feel a part of and everything else, right? They feel like they're the cool kids and not part of the, and not written in the book of taboo like in the Mean Girls, right? That's really what this is. People are like, oh, we're living in a South Park episode, but we're not. We're living in Mean Girls, and it's really what it is, all right? And if you don't want to be sitting by yourself at lunchtime, then then you gotta be, oh, then I like this and I want this and do, whether it's good for you or not, and that's kind of retarded. That's what America's become. That's what the politics has become, and that's why we get nothing but the same old shit. That's why Nancy Pelosi's been Speaker of the House longer than Putin's been president. That's probably why she's jealous. She's just jealous that her name's not President Pelosi is for 20 fucking years or 25 years, but Speaker Pelosi and stuff. And that's really probably what it comes down to. Just that's that simplistic human nature of jealousy, envy, coveting, right? So, an unjust peace is better than a just war. Ignorance of good and evil is the most unsettling fact of human life. The good of the people is the highest law. Law is the highest reason implemented in nature, which commands what ought to be done and forbids the opposite. Because law ought to reform vice and promote virtues, the guiding principles of life can be inferred from it. Wisdom is the mother of all good things, and philosophy has taken its name from the Greek expression that means love of wisdom. Of all the gifts of the gods to the human race, philosophy is the richest, the most beautiful, the most exalted. Besides all its other wisdoms, philosophy has informed us that the most difficult thing in the world is to know ourselves. This adage is so divisive for us that credit is given for it not to one person, but to the God at Delphi. Nothing is more unreliable than the people or populace or masses. Nothing more obscure than human intentions. Nothing more deceptive than the whole system of elections. And that, my friend, is Marcus Tullius Cicero, Roman orator, poet, and statesman. And that's something to think about. While we sit here in this tumultuous time, as they call it, right? With these elections and stuff, that really we're kind of seeing that they kind of just do what they want to do, and we just gotta undertake it, right? I mean, that's why maybe try in California recall Gavin Newsom, but we'll see how it goes, right? But that's why, like I was saying before, right? You had like that whole burger movement. You had the whole he's not the president with Al Gore. You had the burger movement with Bush. You had the this whole Russian thing with Trump, and now the whole Biden thing is like the deep state hacked it, right? Or whatever it is, right? And it's like, so how do we squash all of these, these dilemmas and these quagmires and these conspiracy theories, if you want to put them like that? And how do we level the road and put them anew, right? Because for years we had all these elections, these special councils, we had all this kind of stuff, right? And these commissions, and nothing really turned up, and now no one's really swayed one way or the other, right? So how do we do that? Well, because time will tell. People think this is new, but let me read. I told you, I read you last time of one tumultuous presidential election. This is Adams and Jefferson election. In a campaign that rivals any current presidential election for insults and rancor, John Adams defeated Thomas Jefferson on this day, November 4th, 2020, this was written, in 1796 election, in a race that changed American politics forever, because that's how we got the 12th Amendment, folks. Under the newly enacted Constitution, George Washington was elected president twice with little drama. It was unknown if Washington would seek a third term until less than 2 months before Election Day. Washington said on September 17, 1796, he wouldn't seek a third term in his well-crafted farewell address to the American public, written with some help from Alexander Hamilton and James Madison. With that announcement, it became certain that 1796 election on November 4, 1796 would be the first race contested by divided political parties with separate candidates for office, a fact not lost on Washington. Chaos ensues. They serve to organize faction. to give it an artificial and extraordinary force, to put in the place of the delegated will of the nation, the will of a party, often a small but artful and enterprising minority of the community, he said in his farewell address. They are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning ambitions and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterward the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. The campaign featured Vice President Adams of the Federalist Party and former Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson of what was called the Republican Party, and quickly descended into mudslinging between their supporters. Back then, it wasn't proper for candidates to campaign directly for office, but Aaron Burr, Jefferson's running mate, campaigned anyway, the revolutionary. On October 19, 1796, a mysterious editorial from a writer named Fulcoin appeared in the Gazette of the United States, a popular Federalist newspaper in Philadelphia. Fulcoin said in terms understood by most readers that stupid terms, right? Layman. That presidential candidate Jefferson was having an affair with one of his female slaves. Now we know how that rumor started. Fulcoin also accused Jefferson of running away from British troops during the Revolution, unlike his brave friend Alexander Hamilton. Fulcoin also paid compliment after compliment to Adams and claimed Jefferson would emancipate all slaves if he were elected president. In reality, Fulcoin was actually Alexander Hamilton. Jefferson's folks had been using their own strong campaign tactics in the fight against Adams. Adams was accused of wanting to be a king, starting a dynasty by having his son succeed him as president. He was also accused of being overweight and giving the nickname his rotundity. In addition to the insults, there was a high drama inside the Federalist camp where Hamilton secretly worked to have Adams' running mate, Thomas Pinckney of South Carolina, win the election by getting Southern Federalists to withhold their votes for Adams. In the original election system set up in 1787, each elector cast 2 votes, and the top 2 candidates become president and vice president. 6 states had direct popular elections, but 10 others let state legislators choose their electors. That would have made Pinckney the president and Adams the vice president. Wow. If several Federalists voted for Pinckney and other candidates like Samuel Adams, the beer. Instead, Hamilton's secret was discovered in New England, a region that had many more Federalists. These electors refused to cast their second vote for Pinckney. The result was that Adams became president, and his former friend turned rival Jefferson became vice president. Adams defeated Jefferson by 3 electoral votes, and he gained an electoral majority by just 1 vote. Adams then wound up blaming Hamilton and Jefferson for his close victory, and he particularly targeted Hamilton for applauding Adams' near defeat. Ego. Gotta kill that. It's not your ego. I heard that on a podcast somewhere. The bitterness and rivalry seen in this partisan 1796 campaign got worse in the 1800 rematch between Adams and Jefferson. At one point in that race, Jefferson supporter notorious Pamphleteer, in today's days, a meme lord, James Callender, claimed that Adams was a hermaphrodite, while Adams people said Jefferson would openly promote prostitution, incest, and adultery. That 1800 race ended in a tie, fueled by deeply partisan tactics and more plotting by Adams, Hamilton, Jefferson, and Burr. Jefferson was chosen over Burr in that House runoff election, after Hamilton decided to support the man once rallied against it as Fulcoin. The results of this passage of the 12th Amendment, which changed the original presidential voting system, passed in 1787 to eliminate the 2-vote system. It was ratified June 1804, just a month before Burr killed Hamilton in their famous duel. So, no history, real fact, but also some hope. People call it hoping or whatever, but, you also have to realize that people in Congress aren't elected to just do whatever, but to also the will of the law, and to make sure everybody is secure and knowing, to squash all kind of stuff of impropriety. I can't remember, but impropriety, right? Any kind of shenanigans or chicanery, right? And that's kind of what's going on right now. And people don't want that, which is what I'm telling you, which is a subconscious fighting with the conscious, because they know that there is some kind of level of that, maybe more than they want to admit or not, but they don't want that to be true, because then they have to accept that as reality, and they kind of don't want that. They want to live in a little bubble land, and that's not beneficial for everybody's community, because now we get to see how we are, right? That's why we have all these cities, people just walking over all these people, and then all of a sudden we have COVID, and then all of a sudden people want to wash their ass, face, and hands all the time, right? Which is really weird, right? So that's why we all need to have a little nuance and quit being like, this is my team and this is your team, and actually just realize that we're all like not enemies, and this is how it is. This is democracy. This is why a lot of people don't like democracy, because it's actually as ugly as this. Democracy isn't really all that beautiful. Monarchies maybe, because it seems like it's all nice and going, right? But then you have this stuff like Khashoggi with Saudi Arabia, so maybe monarchies aren't all that great, you know? So it's just something to think about, people. So now we go to the Daily Wire, where we have Ted Cruz, another GOP senator, sign letter announcing intent to vote against electors from disputed states until election audit is conducted. And so basically what they're saying is, why don't we just have an audit, a commission? Why don't we talk about this? Why don't we see what's going on? We've been hearing a lot of this stuff. 2016, people were talking all kinds about hearsay from anonymous sources. They flew to the Ukraine, CNN did, and dug through trash and all kinds of stuff. And now they don't even want to have a 10-day little thing to see with five Supreme Court justices, 5 people on Republican and Democrat on the House and in the Senate. And what's wrong with that? You got all kinds of right. You got both sides, independent right. So if you got nothing to hide, as the left likes to say all the time, what's wrong with seeing what's going on? Let me just peek in the cookie jar and see if there's any stolen cookies or not, right? That's all this is about. It's not really about Donald Trump. It's not really about Joe Biden. It's not really about the white or the blue. This is about the truth, right? And if you're not with it, then you're a liar, and the truth is not in you, and we really don't matter. We can't help you. You're probably just one of the Antifa anarchists, or just the loser trying to just get some kind of riled up like an arsonist, political arsonist. Maybe that's what they call him, right? Senator Ted Cruz, a very smart individual too, very smart constitutional law lawyer who studied under Alan Dershowitz, also very good bright mind of constitutional law. So don't just think like, oh, the write him off as some kooks doing this kind of stuff. And remember, this is also their duty as senators to do this kind of stuff. If they hear any kind of impropriety, they have to look. So what's wrong with that? If it takes a little bit of time, so what, right? You don't want illegal stuff going on. You don't want all that kind of stuff. And if you do, then just say it. Just say I'm a hypocrite. Just say I'm a liar. Just say, hey, this is what I am, and this is what it's like. Don't be sitting around here preaching to the choir and stuff, and then be over here stealing from the freaking from the donation box like the Pharisees were doing and stuff. Don't be doing that kind of stuff, right? Just say what you mean what you say all the time. I mean, we can joke around and have a good time, but when it comes down to it, people really need to be, consistent. So Senator Ted Cruz and 10 other GOP senators have signed a letter announcing they will vote to reject the electors from disputed states as not regularly given and lawfully certified until a 10-day emergency audit can be conducted in those states. We do not take this action lightly. We are not acting to thwart the democratic process, but rather to protect it, Cruz wrote in a letter which was released Saturday. The letter states that in the 2020 election featured unprecedented allegations of voter fraud, violations, and lax enforcement of election law and other voting irregularities. Like in Pennsylvania, you had the judiciary changing laws, which is what the legislature was supposed to be doing, not the judiciary. So that is hinky right there. Cruz and the other Republicans took aim at the Supreme Court, which now contains 3 judges that are nominated by President Trump, which really doesn't matter because it's apolitical, for not taking up allegations of voter fraud. Ideally, the courts would have heard the evidence and resolved these claims of serious election fraud. Twice the Supreme Court had the opportunity to do so, and twice the court had declined. Cruz went on to note that Democrats have previously raised objections to the presidential election results in 1969, 2001, 2005, and 2017, every single time they lose. In 2069 and 2005, and Democrats in 2016, every time they lose. You can't just admit it, right? So that's why, another thing, if you have to, oh yeah, blah, 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 right? I had a niece that way, every time we play Clue or any other kind of game, and as soon as she started losing, making up the rules and blah, 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 as she goes, and then boom, all of a sudden she wins. It's like, no shit, you win. How can anybody win when all of a sudden you're making up the rules on the fly? No one can really know the rules. Consistency is key. The golden rule has to apply. The most direct precedent in this question arose in 1877, following serious allegations of voter fraud, illegal conduct in the Hayes-Tilden presidential race, specifically in the elections of 3 states, Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina, where elections have been conducted illegally. In 1877, Congress did not ignore those allegations, nor did the media simply dismiss those, raising them as radicals trying to undermine democracy. Instead, Congress appointed an electoral commission consisting of 5 senators, 5 House members, and 5 Supreme Court justices to consider and resolve the disputed return. Senator Langsford Cruz, I would say it could be done within 10 days. I mean, I really think with the smartest minds and all the information that's already out there and stuff, they can just conclude it all in a room, put it together like in a jury. I think within 10 days, whatever, they can actually come up with something and we can actually hear something, whether it's good, bad, or it's new, whatever. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Something does, we can cross that bridge when it does, but what's the hurt of actually going down that avenue and seeing if maybe there is a Wendy's or an In-N-Out? What's the wrong with that? The Republicans said they expect the Democrats will not support their vote, that many Republicans won't either, because they're, in on it. They don't really care about nothing. They just want to put a perfect seat to collect and get rich, right? In addition to Cruz, Republican Senator Johnson, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, James Lankford, Steve Daines of Montana, John Kennedy of Louisiana, Marshall Blackburn, Mike Braun, several states elected signed a letter, including Cynthia Williams. So, I don't see anything wrong with this. And if you're actually a true person, a caring person, if you're actually an open-minded person, then there's nothing wrong with this, right? But if not, if you actually are a biased person, then just admit that and be honest about that and stuff, right? Let's actually start putting our money where our mouth is. Let's actually start walking the talk. Let's actually start thinking about it instead of just smearing people and talking shit about people when you're actually worse than them. You know what I mean? Let's actually start doing that. Alright, in this new year and stuff, let's actually start doing things differently. Alright? Alright, I love you guys. Have a good one. And remember, right? Nothing is over until the fat lady sings. And remember, it doesn't matter. Because America's our America. King George couldn't take us down. Pelosi can't take us down. None of us can. Only we can. And if we can, we can. So be an American. I'm an American. Like Jericho Creed says, right? Love you guys. Have a good one.